ndakamirira eri nhasi musoro unenge uri nani. Nhasi musoro unenge uri kufila zviri nani. Good evening, the people of Zimbabwe. My name is 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶𝗿𝗹. I've come today to discuss electoral politics. I want to talk about electoral politics. Whilst I'm talking about electoral politics, I'll be touching a little bit of executive powers. 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶𝗿𝗹, how are you? I'll talk a little bit about executive. We've got three pillars of a government: legislative, executive, and judiciary. The most important office here is the executive in terms of Zimbabwe electoral politics. We want to talk of this executive as well. Hello, how are you? How are you feeling? I'm feeling much better, but you can tell my voice is gone. I may not see you kuitika. Ndrungo dhererwa netumwe turwere twemanga. Asaka but ndati nhasi nina angarega kuita ndambofunga kuti nomborara ndikati no. Vana veZimbabwe vakamirira kunzwa mashoko atinawo. Saka atitalise zviri sei. I'm feeling much better today, although I've got a hoarse voice. My voice is going, but I think I'm feeling much better today. Ndakaudzwa imwe remedy ndakanotenga yekuisa apa, so hey, kana mapiritsi aunu. Saka mwana nhasina rikati diri hora iro vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiri hora iro vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara mudhiriwo, makomana vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara mudhiriwo, musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo ravakomana dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara iro, dhiriwo rairo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo ravakomana. Akakaipa. Handisati ndatanga kuenda kure, ndichangotanga mukoma mukoma Bonwell. I've just started. Andina kana a minute or so ndapinda pa presentation. Please share the remedy. I will share, definitely I will. Comrade Yuda Magadi Mogiza zviri kufamba ere mwana wamai. Dhiriwo ravakomana, dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rairo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara mudhiriwo, vakomana vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara mudhiriwo, musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara mudhiriwo, dhiriwo ravakomana, dhiriwo rari mbanje vanogara mudhiriwo vanogara mudhiriwo. As come August, everyone has to stand and defend the vote. Thanks so much, 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶𝗿𝗹. Every Zimbabwean. I'm going to talk about the electoral politics. Why it is important for people of Zimbabwe to go and vote. Guys, let's mobilize our friends and relatives that this is your last chance for your generation. If you don't change the government now, if you don't change the executive now, that means you are all going to die paupers. Mufa muri varombo. Andinoda kutaurirai. Andisoda kuti mukachinja government nhasi munopfuma ayo. Munoisirwa ma-systems ekuti you can earn a living. Because right now, ZANU-PF government is denying you right to live. Atete flow. Zviri ze ndakasimba mwana wamai. Zviri kufamba ere. What we need is right to live. Because if you look at Zimbabwe, it has been ruled under Zimbabwe by one political party. That's taboo. That's taboo in terms of electoral politics. You cannot think that ZANU-PF is the only political party that can run in Zimbabwe. I love your energy, Mgoma. Thanks, guys. Let's be honest here. With what we have seen from 1980 to 2023, if someone stand and says ZANU-PF is the only political party that can run in Zimbabwe, honestly, you will be fooling yourself. You won't be saying the truth to yourself. Tell yourself what you have seen for the past 43 years. What good has ZANU-PF brought into your life? What have you seen good about the ZANU-PF running the country as a single political party? After tawina comrade mopinda mndege please tokudai kuno mgoma mogiza nopinda zim nopinda andibona one party state. The country has been under one party state ever since. Although the idea one party state Zimbabwe has got a democracy. It's not a democratic country. It's a one party state country. That country has been ruled by ZANU-PF for 43 years. Not because the people of Zimbabwe, they want to be ruled by ZANU-PF, but because of certain shenanigans which makes ZANU-PF a terrorist political party. If you look at ZANU-PF, it is not a political party, in fact. It's a cult. It's a terrorist organization that has killed Zimbabweans, that has intimidated Zimbabweans, that has bombed houses, that has burned cars, that has shot people because of an electoral process. ZANU-PF has embarked on all shenanigans that does not make Zimbabwe a democratic country. The electoral politics that we exercise in our country, it's not electoral politics that can change a government because of how elections are conducted in our country. Already, there is a CIO organization known as FAZ, affiliated to ZANU-PF, which is running the voters' roll, which is running how elections will be conducted. Obvious that it is a recipe of disputation. So what I'm saying here is, Zimbabweans, this is your time. No matter what type of intimidation is brought to you, this is your time, 23 August, to end ZANU-PF rule. Because let's not give ourselves false hopes that after election ZANU-PF will deliver manna from heaven, or something will suddenly change that failed to change in 43 years. What ZANU-PF failed to do in 43 years can't do it in 5 years. They can't. You've given them 5 years, 6 years from 2017 up to now. What have changed? They only come to you and they say, look, we have done 200 kilometers resurfacing of a road surface. They will come to you and say, we have added 600 megawatts of electricity in the national grid. How many megawatts does Zimbabwe require? If Mnangagwa can put 600 megawatts into the national grid, and he comes to you and say, look, this is development, then we are starved of development. We lack development. We don't know the definition of development. A president putting 600 or 500 megawatts into the national grid will come to you and say, so what's your duty? Why are you elected as president? Why do you want to be president of a country? Why? There is no hope in ZANU-PF. Totally no hope at all. If there is anyone who hopes ZANU-PF will do manna or will bring manna from heaven, you are fooling yourself. This is time we should do what we call self-retrospection. Let's reflect what ZANU-PF has done for us from 1980 to 2023. What has ZANU-PF done for you? What has ZANU-PF done for the country? That you guys can say, let's go and vote ZANU-PF. As Amber goes, Zunu must stop ruling power. Is our hands, guys. Definitely. So, what is this electoral politics? What is it about? Elections are coming on the 23rd of August. That means we have got only 1 month left for us to go into an election. 23 August, this is when harmonized elections are going to be held. Surprisingly, if you look at Mainunu, how are you? If you look at the opposition, it has never been allowed to campaign in Zimbabwe. This is why we are saying Zimbabwe is under one party state, because so far the opposition has never been allowed to campaign. President Nelson Chamsa's rallies were cancelled. He hasn't done all the rallies to campaign to campaign to sell his politics to the people of Zimbabwe. He has never been accorded that chance. That is a very key issue when we are looking into election results, to say, look, if Chamisa has been allowed to campaign since he formed 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶, by now Chamisa would be known everywhere in Zimbabwe. But there are certain places which he was denied access to. Vanhu vekwanongonzwa kuti Chamisa zvakafanana naMudhara Tsvangirai, ndotaura ndichirifeya kuna Mudhara wangu kuti there was a time where Tsvangirai was not allowed to go to certain areas in Zimbabwe. If he goes there, the youth militia, the military, including the army, police, and prison, they will go there, barricade roads, stone Mudhara Tsvangirai, firearms kwari vachimuridzira pfuti. And murikuona, people in those areas, believe me, there are certain places where Tsvangirai died before reaching those places. And the people there, they didn't know that Tsvangirai was a black man, according to ZANU-PF propaganda. Remember yesterday, ndakazotaurira mufana akauya panapa asingazive politics dzezanu. I would have thought, hey, zvakati no, that's propaganda, young man. The truth is this. So yesterday I managed to teach someone the truth. Kana akadzokera kuZANU, kana vari border gezi or inonzi staple school of ideology, kana vakaenda ikoko, now he has got the truth, because I taught him yesterday. So this is the same situation Mudhara Tsvangirai found himself in. He was never allowed to travel to other parts of the country to go and campaign, to the extent that he died Mudhara Tsvangirai asina kusvika dzimwe nzvimbo. And the people in those areas, up to now, they don't know that Tsvangirai was a black man. They thought Tsvangirai was a white man. They thought Tsvangirai was a British. They never know. Up to now, they don't know that Tsvangirai was a Zimbabwean, born in Zimbabwe, bred in Zimbabwe. He was a black man like them. But they were denied access to Tsvangirai. They were denied access to opposition politics. You understand? No zvamurikuona nhasi. President Nelson Chamisa vane nzvimbo dzimwe dzavasina kumbva vatsika muZimbabwe, dzavasingabvumirwi kutsika neZANU-PF. Vanhu veko vakanzwa pachitaurwa kuti Chamisa vanozviziva kuti alright, this guy is Zimbabwean. Andoona. Saka zvinozoshamisa vanhu kuti why achirambidzwa kuuya ikoko. Ani mukoma ZANU yagumirwa. Iko zvino vakuti tikanzwa munhu anoshoropodza president kana kutaura zvakashata pamusoro peZANU, tiri kusunga. Obvious. Vagara vachisunga mukoma Peter. They have been arresting us. I am here as part of confession. I am one of the ZANU-PF victims. I've been arrested on several occasions. I have been detained on several occasions. I've been tortured, severely tortured, not ordinary torture. I was talking to my wife, I think a day before yesterday, when I was saying things that I said to my wife, look, if I talk to you, my wife, my own wife, if I talk to her about my torture, she doesn't understand the impact. Because she has never been tortured. But I was taken away from her, abducted from her, taken away for torture. So sometimes, but do you realize how bad torture is? Because most Zimbabweans here, I preach this word to them. They've never met this scenario. They've never been tortured. They've never been abducted. They've been never to places where your life will be at risk. Aurare, uchingofunga anytime I can be taken and killed. No, today that is the end of me. I'm gone. Unorara, unozati kana wagara, ndakaita 6 days ndisingarari. Chinamata chete. Ndaiti kana ndaizobatwa nehope. Paipa unonzwa kana kahitting bichana unongorara ukanzwa kashekeshe dodo vhura maso akatsvuka kuti bhiriri wakuya kutorwa kunomamiswa. Chauri kuroverwa hapana. But we are in a country, a democratic country where the president is chosen on electoral politics. We should elect a president who is going to appoint a government. But we were never allowed to do it. Since 1980, Zimbabweans have never been given chance to elect a president. ZANU-PF is a one-party state. Zimbabwe is run by one-party state. Is run under one-party state. So what I'm saying is, now we have been given a chance. This is another chance. Although we know that there are stringent rules put there. You cannot accuse them. You cannot say anything against the president. You cannot say anything against the government. You cannot say anything against anyone in ZANU-PF. You will be arrested. This is not new to us. It's new to some people who have never been through this dictatorial process. I've been through it. I've been arrested on several occasions. I've been tortured. I've been detained. I've been taken before courts. I've been tried on trumped up charges. Those charges you see today, I've been through them. And ndakapinda zvakawanda. Namakotsi ndakamapinda ndichitongwa. Matribunal kubasa ndikapinzwa matribunal asingapere. Hey, ngoda kupfura chairman wezanu. Hey, ngoda zvakawanda zvakaitika. I've been through torture. I've been tortured. So when I'm talking about electoral politics, I say things that happen to me. I say exactly the things that are affecting the people of Zimbabwe. So sometimes, what is the purpose of election? Why does ZANU-PF allow itself to go into an election when they don't want the election? When they are scared of elections. The only thing that scares ZANU-PF is election. I don't know why they went to fight for one man, one vote. Because when they went to the bush, they were fighting for one man, one vote. They wanted democrats. They desperately needed elections. To say when we hold elections, let the people choose the leader they want. You understand? But ZANU-PF has never allowed that process to take part in our country. They go on to preach one-party state. You let the opposition president cannot go from Harare to Zaka. The roads are barricaded. Chamisa is stoned. Food is kurizwa. Motikari ziri kupfurwa. Vanhu variko vari kurohwa kunzi, why did you attend rally re-𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶𝗿? So where is this electoral politics? Home Affairs South Africa announced kuti icha cleaner. So guys, ngatinyadzisei nekugadzira nyika yedu. Definitely. So why elections? This is why I ask ZANU-PF. I've got some answers to ZANU-PF tonight. To say elections are a democratic way of selecting representatives. This is why elections are held. Zimbabwe hold elections every 5 years. Why do we hold those elections? It's because we need a democratic process. We need to select representatives, people who represent you, people who represent me, people who ensure that the rule of law and the wishes of the people of Zimbabwe are done. They ensure elections, ensure that the representatives rule as per wishes of the people. This is why elections are done. Elections help voters to choose. They help you as a voter. They help me as a voter to choose who will make laws for us. Elections help us to choose who will make laws for you, who will make laws for me, and who will make laws for us. Elections will help us choose who will form the government and take major decisions that affect your life, that affect my life, that affect the entire nation. So when we go into electoral politics, let's go with this in mind, that we are a democratic country. Zimbabwe must be a democratic country. A democratic country means the ways or our electoral politics is a way of selecting representatives. And those selected or the elections itself, they ensure that those representatives, they rule as per your wish, as per my wish. You understand? Because those representatives we elect are going to make laws. They are going to form a government. And they are going to take or make major decisions about how you live, how the country is run. Musaka muchiona tichitika fane nzara totaura kuti Mnangagwa has failed. If we can't find electricity, if we don't have electricity, or if we suffer from load shedding, we say the government has failed. This is the government that claims to have been elected by the people of Zimbabwe. It claims to be the representatives of your wishes. But you wish to have electricity. There is no electricity in Zimbabwe. There is load shedding. Last time, they went ballistics telling us that 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 is empty. Today, 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 is spilling. But still, we don't have electricity. What is electricity? These are our wishes, Zimbabweans. This is why we go into elections. This is why we elect representatives. This is why we elect someone, we say, form a government and provide us with electricity. If you go to Zimbabwe, people of Zimbabwe are suffering load shedding. Factories are suffering. This is why you see factories closed. There is no factory that can survive under load shedding. What are the results of load shedding? The economy will suffer. Because factories will suffer, there will be no production in a country. Ingaita nyika yekutengesa mazichi kanobva ku-UK. Toshaya factory inogadzira machira ekutosona hembe dzekutengesa, vanhu vachinzi this is made in Zimbabwe. Izvino tiri kuona mabhazi akabva kuBelarus anga akavharirwa. Akuburitsa vachinzi ati muZimbabwe maakugadzirwa mabhazi. You see, that means we are starved of production. We are starved of development. So the purpose of elections is to make sure that the people we are going to elect take major decisions about your life, about our country, about everything else that we want. So the voters can choose the party whose policies will guide the government and lawmaking. This is why we go for an election. I want you Zimbabweans to have this in mind, that when we are going into this 2023 harmonized election on the 23rd of August, you must understand that you are going to choose a party whose policies will guide the government and the lawmaking. So, which party are you going to choose? You have been with the ZANU-PF for 43 years. And today they are putting mitemo yekudzvanyirira iwewe wakavhotera ZANU. Nhasi wakunzi aubvumirwe kucriticize hurumende. Hanzi inonzi 𝗘𝗵𝗲, chinonzi 𝗘𝗵𝗲 chacho chechi. Hanzi kuti ndadzoka muScott, pari kupisa baba. ZANU must just go. Yes, Nkoma knowledge. So this is why we are telling the people of Zimbabwe. Today, ndineka lecture kanonakidza kekuti we are talking about electoral politics since the election date has been proclaimed. So what I'm saying is, every Zimbabwean, whether you are in the rural areas, whether you are in the urban areas, wherever you are, kana yangu uri pasi pemvura uri muZimbabwean, kana wakafusirwa uri mupenyu, urunzwa inzwa zvandiri kutaura, kana wakabata chibhotoro chako chetototo chachiya, teerera zvandiri kutaura nhasi. Ndati you are given an opportunity to choose a party with the policies that will guide the government and the lawmaking. You have, in your hands, you have got power to go and choose that political party. You can only choose that political party through registering to vote, checking your names appears on the voters roll, participate on the 23rd of August by placing an X only. They don't require you to write your name. You don't write your name. You don't identify yourself on a ballot paper. You don't. You don't write your name. No one will know who you voted for. You are required just to put an X. If you look on that ballot paper, you can't find your name there. You are not there. And those ballot papers are millions. They don't know who you voted. So I am telling you today that you have got power to change your life. If you are a Zimbabwean, you have got power to change your life. Thus, election, it is a mechanism by which people can choose their representatives at regular intervals and change them if they wish to. We have been with the ZANU-PF for 43 years. It's not a joke. Look at a 43-year-old man today. Atisoda kutaura zvatiri kuona zviri kutenderera mumasocial media kuti ukatarisa zviri kutenderera mumasocial media kuti mukadzi ane 40 something years ukamutarisa aparara andiri kuona. Atisoda kuzvitaura izvozvo, but tikutaura kuti let's look at a 43-year-old man ari muZimbabwe, someone who was born on the 18th of April 1980. Go look at him today. Vasekuru, vababa vemhuri, for 43 years zararama vapazvarwa Zimbabwe. We never changed the government. We never changed the political party that makes crucial decisions for your life. And what decisions have been made by ZANU-PF that today you can still stand and say, let's vote ZANU-PF. If you ask someone in ZANU-PF, he will tell you that we renovated Harare International Airport, an airport that was built by Ian Smith. Someone is just renovating it, and he comes to you and say, look, I've developed that. To them, they think it's a development. They are building small bridges just for people to cross temporarily. Then they cut a ribbon, they come to you and say, we built a bridge. Emerson is busy building schools in Zambia. If you go to Zimbabwe, kune zvikoro zvemadhaga nemapuranga nemiti kutemwa mugomo. Vanhu vachivaka classroom chemiti chodzirwa nendove choiswa blackboard yematsito. Hakuna kana choko iriko. This is 23 years of independence, the Zimbabwe we are in. So you have got an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. You have got a very big opportunity. But what makes that election democratic? This is very important. This is why you see we are suffering in our country. Because our elections have never been democratic elections. If you see election, a good opposition leader is not allowed to campaign. The police will bar all the rallies. Supporters of that opposition party are incarcerated. The opposition leader, if he travels even to his rural home, the roads are barricaded. Stones are thrown at him. Guns are fired at him. His supporters are abducted and killed. They are not allowed to gather and share whatever their leader has. So that doesn't make an election a democratic election. So what makes an election democratic? Everyone should be able to choose. Zimbabweans are not allowed to choose. Already, that makes our elections not democratic. You are not allowed to choose. You are never allowed to choose. But everyone should have one vote, and every vote should have equal value. You must understand that your vote has got equal value to Emmerson Mnangagwa's vote. Your vote has equal value to 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶𝗶 vote. 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗁𝗀 is a billionaire. Emmerson Mnangagwa is a billionaire. But what makes you equal to them? You are una mari. Auna kana butse kupfeka. Auna chekudya. Ukurara nenzara. But there is somewhere where we are equal. When you go to vote, you only cast one vote. And every vote is equal. You should know that vote yako iwewe, it is equal to vote ya Chiangwa. Nemazimutkara anofamba na waya. Kuna vanhu vanofamba nema-private jets vachidya mazondo mundege. Vachitaura kuti iwewe enda unodya ma-vegetables, iwe wadya nyama. But when it comes on the 23rd of August, your vote is equal to their vote. So don't waste it. Never waste your vote. Voting for ZANU-PF, you will be wasting your vote. Don't waste your vote. You should know that your vote has got equal value to whoever is in the country. Because you are going to put 1x. You don't put 10x, no. No one puts 10x. You're going to put 1x. So every vote should have an equal value. And your vote is important. Whether you're a street kid, your vote is important. This is why we say there should be parties and candidates to choose from. Be allowed to choose. Candidates are there. Political parties are there. And your choice after 43 years of looking at ZANU-PF, obviously your choice is 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶𝗶. That was what Maduko Adzingwa NCA. And the NCA as a political party has endorsed President Nelson Chamisa. All opposition political parties in the country are endorsing President Nelson Chamisa, except the MDC, which is a surrogate of ZANU-PF. So you must understand that what makes an election democratic is there should be parties, there should be candidates to choose from, freedom to contest, and a wide choice for people. Elections must be held at regular intervals. We do that. We hold elections at regular intervals. But our elections haven't been democratic. We do elections under very strict conditions. One other condition which I exposed in 2008, when elections were being stolen by prison officers who denied other prison officers the right to exercise voting in a free way, in a free and fair way. So elections must be held regularly for it to be called democratic. People must be free to choose. There must be political parties to choose and candidates to choose. So you must enjoy that freedom to choose. And remember, as I've mentioned earlier on, that you only cast one vote. And your vote is equal to any other voter. So don't waste your vote. Your vote is very important. Candidate preferred by the people should be elected. Elections should be held in a fair and free atmosphere to be democratic. As I have stated earlier on, that up to now, we've got only a month to go into harmonized elections. President Nelson Chamisa's rallies have been cancelled by the police. He is not allowed to hold rallies. If you see Chamisa Achifamba, people just come and greet him. Nobody get a chance to talk to the people of Zimbabwe. He is not allowed to gather them, to address them. So the atmosphere that the opposition is operating under is not a democratic atmosphere. So at the moment, we have got queries with the government. ZANU-PF's government hasn't allowed us to campaign. Hasn't allowed President Chamisa to campaign. So the environment that they created cannot be deemed as a democratic environment where other political parties are not allowed to campaign. You understand? This whole system, this electoral politics, why elections should be democratic, there are some demerits of them. Because, as I've mentioned, whilst I was making this presentation, you could tell that there are some negative connotations to whatever I was saying. Elections, usually, they create this sense of disunity. And they create this sense of party politics. If you come to the United Kingdom, you will see a different electoral politics, where the British people themselves, they don't dwell on party politics. Although there are certain people who identify themselves by certain political parties, as Conservative, as Labour, as UKIP, and so forth. But when it comes to electoral vote politics, the people of the United Kingdom, they've got freedom to choose. 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶. The people of the United Kingdom, they've got freedom to choose. This is the only country where I have seen people who do not pay allegiance to a political party. Mu area mandogara, Labour ikawina. Ikadosera, the same people who voted Labour, they change. They vote the Conservative. Now they don't like the Conservative, and Labour has been winning. The same people who have been voting Conservative have changed. They are voting the Labour. They don't pay allegiance to a political party. This is exactly what lacks in Zimbabwe's electoral politics. There are people that are hard ZANU-PF people, those blood suckers. The people who are like, chikagara pamombe, chodona nekuguta, chobva chafa, chofa nekuguta, chikwekwe. Kune zvimwe zvikwekwe zvinoti hatisiyane neZANU-PF. They don't know kuti ZANU-PF mukoma kuda zviri sei. Andi muri kuona? Kune zvikwekwe zvinoti isi hatibvi paZANU-PF. Ukatarisa zvakaita vana, ukatarisa mafutiro akaita mupana anonzi 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 ya. Chikwekwe chachiya, achiguti. Sasara kudonha nekufa chete baibai. Andistora kuti anofa nhasi. Don't misquote me. No, I'm not saying he will die soon. I'm saying muri kuona kuti zvinoenda zvikwekwe. Chinonwa ropa kusvika chafuta, chashaya shepi. Chinenge chakusara tuziso nemusoro, chodona nekufa. Andimukona vanhu veZANU-PF kuti zvikwekwe. Saka, let's desist from that type of politics. We should have in mind electoral politics where you are able to vote a certain political party if your party does not do what you wish. Because we do elections so that representatives do what we wish as Zimbabweans. You understand? What we are witnessing in our politics today, we are witnessing dirty tricks being played by ZANU-PF. There is, if you read what 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 wrote, you will understand why. He was talking about 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘀. 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘀 is the publicity secretary of ZANU-PF, I think, or information secretary for ZANU-PF as a political party that is expecting to win elections even in Matabeleland. He goes on to say those people who were killed during 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘀 were nothing and they deserved to die. This is what Mugwadi is saying. This is exactly the position of ZANU-PF. Surprisingly, you will see people in Matabeleland voting ZANU-PF. I said these are morons. If you are from Matabeleland, whilst you are being shouted at Nana Mugwadi like this, and you go on to put your X on ZANU-PF, you're a moron. You're a moron. You understand what I'm saying? Atete flows, you say, go anata. This is why you see, I am not leveling allegations against ZANU-PF of using these dirty tricks to win elections, but this is exactly what ZANU-PF does. They do all the dirty politics. They kill people, they beat up people, they abduct people, they burn houses for elections. Just one X. They go on rampage, destroying property. Those are dirty tricks that we say ZANU-PF is utilizing to say we've won an election. So as a result of that, ZANU-PF has failed to put in place long-term policies that can see Zimbabwe survive. Guys, you have been lucky. Those who are in the UK, you have been lucky. You see what you are witnessing today. United Kingdom, tikana yaona chinhu chainoona kuti ichi choda kugadziriswa ichi. Set up a board of inquiry. Then they appoint the chairperson. The chairperson will go straight to investigate what needs to be done and come up with solutions and hand it as white paper to the government. The government will implement it. There are quite a lot of, if you look at the Mohlane Commission, when an investigation was completed, there were recommendations that the ZANU-PF government must implement. They never implemented anything. And you wonder why they had to set up that commission, pay commissioners, and take that report, just put it under the carpet. So we have a problem. We need a government. We need representatives who knows what their roles are. And more. Because this dirty politics that ZANU-PF is utilizing, it keeps good people out of politics. Good people don't enter politics. Good people don't enter politics. It's because of these shenanigans that you have witnessed ZANU-PF doing. But those good people, if they don't enter politics, if they don't vote, then they are contented with the status quo. Those are the people voting. Those are the people who allow ZANU-PF to continue ruling Zimbabwe, to continue destroying people's lives. Because they call themselves good people. They don't want to get involved in politics. They don't want to vote. They don't want to do anything with Zimbabwe. You know what? I'm a businessman. I've got nothing to do with the politics. Politics will do you. You don't do politics. Politics will do you, man. My politics zokushandai kana musikada kudziita. Because major decisions are made by elected individuals about your health. Major decisions about your health, your children's education, the future of your country. Everything is decided by politicians. But you don't want to go and vote. You don't want to take politics. You want to be a good person. You understand? As Mtoriro being supplied by ZANU-PF. Imagine, Mkoma Jiji. Kuti Mtoriro rukubikwa kuchipinge mbamaporu sungazi. And more. So elections are good, ladies and gentlemen, because they force the ruling party to perform. The problem is our elections are not democratic. This is why you see the ruling party underperforms and nobody cares. Even them in ZANU-PF, they don't care. Even if they underperform, they don't care. Because we have never taken them accountable. We have never taken them accountable. So they continue to underperform. And we don't raise a voice. If you try to raise a voice, you are shot. That shows we are not under a democratic rule. The government is aware that it will be voted out of power. ZANU-PF is aware, as I'm talking right now, that 2023, ZANU-PF will be voted out of power. And they know that they've been underperforming. They never performed to the people's expectations for 43 years. There is no point of them continue ruling. Even if I ask, I've seen my young brother here, Eustace here, that look, for 43 years, your political party failed to perform as expected by the voters, as expected by the people of Zimbabwe. Maakuti muka isaka 200 megawatts national grid. You want the whole country to know. Whilst load shedding is, you could chokonya. And him. So, our electoral system is not democratic. This is why you see, even ZANU-PF people, they've never forced their leaders to perform. Akuna mzanu wako mzachita around idia rukuta underperform. Akuna. No matter that is the whole mediocrity you witness here, they don't care, ZANU-PF people. They don't care at all. They don't care at all. They don't see why they should compete. There is no competition in ZANU-PF. This is why you see now some senior ZANU-PF people are vying for Blessing Chebundu. But why can't we put Blessing Chebundu as president of ZANU-PF and then president of Zimbabwe eventually? Because in ZANU-PF there is no competition. Even Mugabe himself said, I've got no one to leave power to. And you understand? So where there is no competition, obvious, there is mediocrity. And on. So elections in our country have been held regularly for 5 years. And this year we are going into this election to elect representatives who should come into our lives to make decisions that will affect all of us. Let's expect parliament will be dissolved soon. Ndosaka muruna vakumhanya kuda kupasa chibhiru chawo cheche because varuziva kuti hapasina parliament anytime soon. Parliament will be dissolved, and once parliament is dissolved there will be no government, no one will sit. Takutopinda general election. Andimona. Saka pane nyaya government, guys. Pane nyaya. Kana usina kuona nyaya iri panapa, hausati wapinda in politics. So we want Zimbabweans to go into this election. And Kismo, this is long time network problem, man. And riparara. Thanks, Monoma. Let's hope Uribolu. Please don't involve me in this your sort of politics. You don't play Zimbabwe. You don't listen to learn. Chimpara changu Eustace Kayemba chimtumbuka chekumalawi chimpana andimona. So what do we do in our country, ladies and gentlemen? We follow an area-based system of representation. Zimbabwe is divided into different areas for the purpose of election. We've got 10 provinces for the people. We have got districts. We have got wards. We have got... so that means we are going to vote for councillors. We are going to vote for members of parliament in districts, constituencies. Then we'll vote for the president. That is the harmonized election. So our country is divided in these constituencies. The country has been divided into many parliamentary constituencies where you are going to choose your representative, your member of parliament. Each of your MPs, he runs for 5 years. We have got another, we've got lower chamber and the higher chamber. We've got parliament, we've got senator, ipapo. But my senators, ekwedu, they are not elected. Very unproportional representation. Nobanozo point one also pinda kusenator. So this is where you see before an election, the size and the shape of parliamentary constituencies are determined by an independent delimitation commission. You saw the short job that was done by an incompetent judge known as 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 was a waste of time going to election without voters' roll. But 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 if you don't, this is why you see ZANU-PF has got surrogate political parties, that if you don't go into an election, they will go with others and they will continue to rule you. So it's better to fight the system than just to fold our hands and say, we don't have a voters' roll, we can't go for election. You understand? There are surrogate political parties who are paid, like MDC. It's being paid. They got farms, they got cars, they got this and that. So that if Chamsa says, I can't go into election, boy, let's boycott, Monzora will go. And nothing will change. They will continue to run the country for 5 years. That will be a suffer continue. We better fight the system whilst we participate. Mkoma, Mtondo 𝗔𝘂𝗴𝗂𝗰𝘁𝗶, and the time this in my life, I wasn't feeling, no, I had a problem, my brother. I had a problem. I lost my daughter. I lost my daughter in South Africa. From there, I've been depressed. I've through a lot. Msoro wangu wakurutema unozana aiti ndingangogara ndakuchema to the extent yekuti hey, I was so affected. Yeah, muripa mawanu wana wevu no chokwadi Eustace. What I like about you, my young brother, is you have got a perception. You have got Zimbabwe at heart. Your perception of politics, although you are ZANU-PF, you've got a different perception compared to Vanamgwadi. Vanamgwadi, they are vying for kudya. But what's the point of going to election without voter roll? It's like going to war without a gun. Definitely 100% to win without voters roll. Then, if you don't vote, if you don't go into that election, what else are you going to do? Do you have any other plan? Let's brainstorm. What's your plan if we don't go into this election? What's your plan? Comrade Judah, this level pa UK kapa chando plus kunaya chando ere mdara ndo sama yedu yekunoka chenche pa kapa isama yedu ya I know very ndaona ma update pakaipa. So what I'm saying is, those who are saying let's boycott the election, what's your plan? Because you must boycott with a plan B. If you stay home, ZANU-PF, they will just continue to go and vote, and they will declare themselves winners. You saw what happened in 2008. They declared themselves winners after they went it solo. So if you don't participate, what's your plan? What other plans are in place? And the more. Because already the elimination has been done, although haphazardly done. Electoral roll has been produced in paper form where some people are not finding their names in. They have totally refused to release the electronic one. And they have issued the electronic one to Mnangagwa, who is taking your number, sending you messages. So what's the plan if we boycott? All this time, Chamsa said one plan, so his plan is to go election without voters roll, 100% a joke. So I'm asking you, 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶, that if we boycott, what's your suggestion? What's your suggestion? What do you think Zimbabweans need to do? Because we cannot just advocate for boycott without another plan, without plan B. if you say Zimbabweans must not go into this election, we are not the only opposition political party. There are surrogate parties that are going to contest. Mutopa na Linda Masarira mukana wokutono voterwa. Vanenge vatove in parliament. So what is your plan? Can you tell us? You want President Nelson Chamisa to boycott this election, but don't forget he is not the only opposition in Zimbabwe. We have got almost 100 opposition political parties, and if you don't go, some will participate. So what's your plan? So can we all agree good anga sina plan pesa? The plan is there. We campaigned. We told people to go register and vote, and people registered to vote. That is, the plan is there. So I am asking you, if you are advocating for him to boycott the election, what is your suggestion? I'm not talking about President Nelson Chamisa's suggestion. I'm talking about your suggestion. Because once you come up with a plan to say, look, let's boycott, then you should have a solution. Because if you advocate for boycotting without a solution, then still we have got no plan. And it's better to be involved in case you might want to rise up in protest of proven rigging or whatever. That show it hasn't been a free and fair election. Thank you, Eustace. Thank you so much. Because you cannot go and advocate for boycott of election without a plan B. Because you are not the only official political party in Zimbabwe. There are a lot of political parties. If you don't go, some other parties, they contest, they take part in election. And unozomira uchida kuti anaro waurisani. And why can't you train as a soldiers? That is another plan now. If we say let's boycott the elections, then the next plan we have is let's train soldiers and fight ZANU-PF government. Yes, let's uprise. If you say we need to train soldiers and uprise rather than going into an election, that will be a plan B. But I don't think that plan will work according to what Zimbabwe is like today. Without a country for 43 years, no bullet fired against each other, the country is dilapidated. The infrastructure is dilapidated. The economy has collapsed. Imagine if we bring war to the people of Zimbabwe at this juncture. The Zimbabwe no sara yakaita sei. Todyanana muyamwe. Kudyanana chaiko chaiko is the state of affairs are right now in our country. People are starving, and we bring civil war to them. What do you think Zimbabweans will be like? Boycotting election isn't a wise move. Not a wise move at all. Not at all. The plan is already there, Mkuru. This time, this is why people are saying, let's defend our vote. That is a plan. Go and vote, don't go home. Mira pa polling station pa votera ma results avere nguripo. Puwa ma results ako kana wajgiwa. That's democracy. Because if we boycott elections, what is the next plan? Unless you are saying we are a rebel group. We are boycotting elections because of this and that. And we are going into the bush. We are going to fight ZANU-PF government militarily. You understand? If you say that, people of Zimbabwe will understand. They will say, okay, that's the plan. Let's not go into election. Let's go into war. But if you have got no plan of going to war and advocate for boycott of elections, it's like you are giving ZANU-PF green light to continue ruling. And they rule forever. Saka vachitaura totonga kusvika madhonga amira nyanga. Nokuti nevanhu vari kuti ma-elections tichiboycottika. Tisina imwe plan yekutoita sei. Andoona. Saka ngative nema-solutions. When we advocate for boycott of elections, what is the next action that is required? You have boycotted, and then what? Ndoba nenyaya. If we don't have solutions, it's wrong for us to advocate for boycott of elections. Very wrong. because it's like tichifarira kuti vanhu vasafe muzimbabwe, vanhu varambe vachitambura. Because tikaboycota election, ZANU-PF inongotora Linda Masari rapinda yomubhadharira presidential candidate fee, yotora Douglas Monzora yomubhadharira, vandoziva kuti ngonobhimidza. Hapana panovhoterwa anonzi Linda Masari, hapana. Tokozani kupe chaakawana mazero kwakavhota mwana wake. Even her daughter did not vote for her mother. Iye haana kutombozvivhotera. You understand? So those are surrogates which can participate in an election if you say let's boycott. Because boycotting without any other plan, you are wasting people's.
Dad, you know what the nana says?
Yeah?
You know what the nana says?
No. And it's better because ZANU-PF ikuti nyika iende nepen. You know ienda nepen. Yeah, you can have it. Nyika ienda nepen mkomarisi zviri pachena. That means imimi vanhu veZimbabwe, if you want kuti nyika iende nepen, it can go. Zvaka zviri smart. Iye propaganda that makes you lose hope. Boycotting is not a solution. Let's zvese zvinoita kuti ZANU-PF izive kuti hatichada. Yes, they put propaganda. Unoziva kuti vanhu ava vanoshandisa maprofessors vanota research kuti kune dzimwe nyika zvinhu pavanga vasvika this state of affairs, what did the ruling party do to continue being in power? They come out with plans of telling you. They go on ZBC. They go on YouTube. They go on social media. They will tell you that Ashite, this country will never go nepen. That's propaganda. And if we continue believing their propaganda, we will remain intimidated. Mugabe 2008. Never ever the MDC will form government of this country. Takai win in 2008. We won election in 2000. Penny. We won that country in 2008. Dai pasina kuti Mudhara-Tsvangirai akazotiza akafurirwa. Ndonyaya dzatotaura idze kutrusta Mudhara-Tsvangirai was surrounded. No problem yanga anayo Mudhara. Vanhu vaitrusta around him. Aifunga kuti vanhu vake vanoshanda nawo vaishanda nawo kutrade union. No vanhu vakauraya Zimbabwe 2008. Ma-trade unionists. We made an error to think that those trade unionists could be very good opposition people. Those were the people. There were ZANU-PF people. Look at them today. Ma-trade unionists mazhinji ese akadzokera kuZANU. That means they were working in cohort with the ZANU-PF. Vakafurira Mudhara-Tsvangirai ma-trade unionists kuti Mudhara tizai. Mudhara akatiza akapinda kuBotswana. Isakatomirira kuti now takupinda street takuperekedza Mudhara ku-State House. We have won this election. And Mugabe even stated it. Tsvangirai has won the election. 83%. As Nelson, Mkoma Nelson akufa akasiya aramwa party yake Mugabe. Definitely. He knew it, that this is propaganda. If we say to the people of Zimbabwe that this country will never be won by a pen, then the people will lose hope. If we continue to lose hope to propaganda, that means we are being affected in propaganda. 2008, we won that country with a ballpoint pen. We won it. We won the elections. The problem is Mudhara-Tsvangirai was surrounded by ZANU-PF people who were in the trade union, ZCTU. ZCTU. Most of people who formed the cream of MDC, they were people from ZCTU. My head of their unions, labor unions. Those people, most of them were ZANU-PF. Look today, vakadzokera kuZANU. Vana Chebundo va kuZANU-PF. Vana Mudhara James Makore va kuZANU-PF. vana 𝗘𝗵𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 vaa kuZANU-PF, vana Lilian Timovius vaa kuZANU-PF, vana Hilda Mafudze vaa kuZANU-PF, vaa maambassadors kuMalawi, vana Priscilla Musairambwa vaa maambassadors kuSenegal veZANU-PF. So these were people who surrounded 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶, and they are the same people wakataurira 𝗘𝗹𝗲 kuti 𝗘𝗹𝗲 wokoyo wakufa, 𝗘𝗹𝗲 awina election, 𝗘𝗹𝗲 pinda kuBotswana. Takasara tisina leader. I am saying things that I was involved in. Ndakutofunga kuti takutoenda kuState House kunogadza 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶, 𝗘𝗹𝗲 atiza apinda muBotswana. ZANU-PF ichitaura kuti hatiwine nepeni, takaitora nyika. Data atina leader by that time. Takashaya leader. Takashaya leader because 𝗘𝗹𝗲 anga atiza. Takasara tanherera. Patakasara ndo patakatanga kurohwa nekurawa. Ndo patakarohwa tikakuvadzwa. Ndo pamuri kuona pakafa vana 𝗘𝗹𝗲 wangu 𝗘𝗹𝗲 Mbwandarika, pakaurayiwa vana Tondera Indira, pakazoko 𝗘𝗹𝗲 anga atiza. 𝗘𝗹𝗲 anga atiza. MDC yakasara isina leader. 𝗘𝗹𝗲 atiza apinda muBotswana. Hanzi misaida musatambe nevanhu vakazvarirwa mukutsimbirirwa. So this time nesimba raMwari dai pfungwa dzatama zvekutya. Munhu akajaira kurova mukadzi asi dhei raanodzorerwa anotya chete. Exactly. Now the time is up now for ZANU-PF. Andi muri kuona. Ndiri kutaura zviri clear kuti guys, ngatisaitwe affected neZANU-PF propaganda of telling you that Zimbabwe will never go by a pen. Istakamboitora nyika yedu. Unfortunately, we lacked leadership in 2008 because most of the top brass MDC by then were ZANU-PF people who surrounded 𝗘𝗏𝗲, and they lied to 𝗘𝗏𝗲 kuti 𝗘𝗏𝗲 maakufa, muri kutsvagwa muri kuda kuurawa tizai. 𝗘𝗏𝗲 akatiza akanopinda kuBotswana. Andiro zvokuti dai takapinda muroad tati dai takatotora 𝗘𝗏𝗲𝗰𝗁 pakabuda maresults takatoenda kuState House, 𝗘𝗏𝗲 was going to be president of that country. But 𝗘𝗏𝗲 akabva atiza, tikasara tanherera. Chitarisa zvatakaitwa manje. We're being abducted, being locked up, being shot at, being killed, houses being burned. Zvese, all sorts of terroristic activities were done by ZANU-PF in 2008. Because takasara tanherera. But dai 𝗘𝗏𝗲 vakamira nesu. Takatotora, takapinda paya. Saka that is only propaganda, guys. Don't allow yourself to be affected by propaganda that Zimbabwe will never be taken by a ballpoint pen. This is the purpose of electoral politics. We are going into electoral politics, and ZANU-PF will lose. And in the morning. Saka tiri kutaura kuti musa nyengerwe neZANU kuti haimbofa nyika yakatorwa neballpoint pen. Hainotorwa. 1980 futi yatadza kutora. Futi yakatadza kutora nyika. Ndoshamisika vanhu vaitaura hanzi futi yakatora nyika. Futi haina kutora nyika. Yesterday when I was making my presentation, ndakataura kuti history of Zimbabwe is distorted. We waged this Golira war, but the war did not lead to the end, to victory. No. People had to sit down to reason. This war has taken too long, and this war seems not to end. Even Mugabe said, we are not going to end this war until we win. And there were no prospects of winning. Remember, I told you yesterday that even ZANU-PF commanders were tired of that war. ZANU-PF was busy killing each other in Zambia, killing each other in Mozambique, because the war had taken so long to end. ZANU-PF was like a divided party. That party was not going to win a war. If you read about the Badza rebellion, you read about what happened in 1975 in Zambia, what happened in Mozambique, where some of its leaders were locked up, some had to flee into Tanzania, into different countries. It was like in disarray. From 1975, ZANU-PF was in disarray. This is when 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 were bombed to the extent that even when the war was stopped, the Tongogaras were to be killed. As I saw it last seat parliament this weekend, Madam Speaker wapinda mawana temba join. Yes, so you will see that this country, Zimbabwe, was never won by war. If you say the country was won by war, you are distorting history. Those are the house talks. No, let's stop the war. There's a good day. A very good, a clear example. There was no way ZANU-PF would allow the Rhodesian forces to be integrated into Zimbabwe National Army. Let's encourage each other to vote to own to tangira ipapo. Exactly, 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶. Those are to tangira ipapo. Ndatini, Zimbabwe was never won through the barrel. That is propaganda. Zimbabweans went into an election after these parties sat down and came up with a consensus that, look, let's go into an election. Whoever wins this election will run Zimbabwe, will run the country. Barrel ranga pfuti dzadzamira kurira. Dzicharire vanhu vakuenda kunonyora ne-ballpoint pen. And this country came by a pen. It was never by a barrel. People distort history. Kuda kuzvita mahero. Ndo vana Rambo mainzo ndakariga ndege ne-AK. Munhu asina kumbotrainwa kuti ndikakupa pfuti usina kumboitrainwa iwewe kuti AK iridze potse kuzvipfuura. Andiri kuona. Saka chirambo ndo chakawandisa muzano. Ayo toda kutaura chokwadi general. Iwo unozviziva iwewe kuti there were elections held in 1979. My elections, they were held. Results were counted. ZANU-PF ikanzi win. That is not a barrel. That was a pen. It was really in black and white. That was a pen. After the barrel was pointed down. Barrel in the butt in the shoulder, barrel pointing down. And after that, all forces, the Rhodesian forces, the guerrillas, were told to unload their weapons. They were told to unload their weapons. They unloaded their weapons, took fully charged magazines into the porch. Up and up, down. No one pointed a gun to anyone. And they were told, keep your guns, let's go for a pen. They opted for a pen, not for a gun. Elections were held. ZANU-PF won that election. So if someone is telling you that this country came by the barrel, that person is not telling the truth. Is distorting history. Also, to Lancaster House talks, what were they for? And why did we lay guns down and then go into a ballot box to put an X? What was that? Is that a barrel? That was a ballpoint pen, an ever sharp, not a barrel. So what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, let's go into the election. Let's not boycott it. Let's not listen to the propaganda that this country will never go by a pen. Whilst that country came by a pen. Guns failed to bring independence, but people had to go sit for an election. They sat on a table, came up with a plan, go into an election, elected ZANU-PF into power. And them on. So what is important now, ladies and gentlemen, we are having elections on the 23rd of August. This, in a similar way, 1980 elections were held, but not in the same environment. We have got a ZANU-PF party which has ruined that country for 43 years, and it is the party that is running the election. But now they run the election, they are not certain that they are going to win or lose. So you will make them win or lose. Because what is required now, we might vote my members of parliament, but we need office of the president. The executive branch of government is what is important at this juncture. Every Zimbabwean must aim to make sure, even in 90s elections, it was rigged. Kune madira akaitwa behind the scenes. That's why Mugabe was knighted. Yes, that is correct. We can not dispute that. And I don't know galo machino, no gandatanga my man. So what I'm saying is, no matter what we are saying, don't buy propaganda. A ballpoint pen will never bring independence into Zimbabwe. Never. And I want to track Ridha Mr. Yuda. No, that was a track 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶. It's a driving school track. It's not my track in 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶. I did it. So, what is important, ladies and gentlemen, is the office of the president, executive branch of the government. This office of the president belongs to none other than Nelson Chamisa. In his ZANU-PF, Mugabe clearly told you, amuna munu anogona kutunga. You were told clearly by your former president that in his ZANU-PF, no one is capable of occupying the office of president. And when people thought Mugabe was lying, you tried Emmerson Mnangagwa, you are seeing the results now. You tried Chiwenga, you are seeing the results now. And even in ZANU-PF, they've come up to a conclusion to say, yes, Mugabe was right. And in the opposition, we are saying, yes, Mugabe was right. He said, no one in ZANU-PF worth to occupy office of the president. This is a very important office because it is the executive branch of the government. It has got certain qualifications for running that office. That office has got powers and privileges which are very important to major decisions of our country. So at the moment, since Mugabe left, there is vacancy in that office. They tried their succession and failed. They do it unconstitutionally and let mediocrity take over. And you are seeing the results now. Kuti anongotora ivho ogadzira nemapango ogadzira ka bridge otonocheka ribbon. Arogadzira mochari obva taura inotonhorera otocheka ribbon. Kukwena resurface road, kona road otonocheka ribbon. This is mediocrity. This shows that the office of the president is vacant. The succession that ZANU-PF tried failed. So you are going into an election now to elect a leader. You want to elect a president. The person you are entrusting now is charged with the execution and administration of a country's laws, which is very important. Look at the Mitemo, which Emmerson Mnangagwa is trying to push through parliament. Those Mitemo, you know, that is incompetence. You know, that is a mediocrity. You know, that is a failure of succession policies ZANU-PF. So what do we need to do? We need another president. It shows the office of president is vacant right now. Since Mugabe left, that office is vacant. Because the executive branch, it sets the direction of national policy. If I ask you today, what's the direction of Zimbabwe police? Is there any other country in the world where you see the finance minister ajipinda mu supermarket could reduce mtengo ezvinhu? Things that he can simply do in his office or by a phone call. he visit a supermarket and say, reduce mtengo yezvinhu. So in general, we are saying the office of president has been vacant since 2017. It has been vacant. Whatever you witnessed between this period does not show that we've got a president in Zimbabwe. Because the powers, the executive power in the Zimbabwe government is vested in the office of the president of that republic. So it must be someone anofana kuziva zvaari kuita. Hanzi une hama ichatanga kupinda mochari tiri kumupa mubayiro. Just imagine. Just imagine. Iron Lady. Just imagine. That shows that office is vacant. Mediocrity. Being in the marara. Runoitwa official opening. One tap water kuchivu. Munandoenda kuunganidza kutora vanhu. Imagine how much is wasted to gather Zimbabweans all over the country, ferried by buses and lorries, to go to Chivu to officially open a tap water. That shows the office of president is vacant. That's mediocrity. We are a failed state. Zimbabwe haina mutungamiri ndo chokwadi. 2023, 23rd August, it's your chance as a Zimbabwean to make sure that you are going to elect a president. Because the office has been vacant since 2017. The succession that was tried by ZANU-PF failed. And that has proved Mugabe right to say, look, I've got no one in ZANU-PF to leave this executive branch of the government to. So I am appealing to registered voters right now that this is your chance. You guys, you are very literate. You can read and write. You can even understand English. Ndaigona ndevele ndichitaura nendevele ndichimixa neshona nechirungu kuti zvinyatsonzwika kuti vanhu vari mumatebhelele ndivandinzwewo. But someone complained here that this is a Shona program. Unfortunately, I can't speak ndevele. That's not my fault. And 43 years, we've got a 43-year-old government that has dismally failed to develop a country. Some of you have been resident to that country since birth. You've never seen anything good delivered by ZANU-PF. So what we are saying is the office of president, that is the most important office that needs Zimbabweans to come together and vote. Kana uri ZANU-PF, no problem. Vote your member of parliament for ZANU, but your for the executive branch must go on 𝗘𝗹𝗲 President Nelson Chamisa. I'm appealing to those ZANU-PF people vane muono wakanaka, vane muono uri mberi. Remember yesterday I asked you, where was ED from 1972 to 1977? Why is ED Mnangagwa happy to do business with the former Rhodesians, Rudland, whose father was a minister in Ian Smith regime? Wana Macmillan, whose father was the head of the CIOs. Ghana Rottenberg, those former CIO British. Why is he happy to do business with them? And when he's doing business with them, those white people, those Rhodesian CIOs, they are telling you that don't ever trust a black man. Don't invest anything with a black man. Then that must show you what type of leader Mnangagwa is. And for you to trust him with the 5 more years, it will be risky, man. You are risking your life. 85 years from now, how old are you? How old are you today? And how old will you be 5 years now? those will be 5 wasted years, plus 6 years, 11 wasted years under Mnangagwa. You're going nowhere. You are going to die a pauper. You're going to die a poor man. Uchasira vana vako nothing. Vana vako wakafa uri mguva kana kuti uri muchamweya uchitarisa vana vako vachi nongasadza mubhini ndipo uchaona kuti ndakadosera. Because takanzwa kuti vakafa vanodzoka iri midzimu. That means they see you. They see us someone. They try to come and speak to us. Vana mai vedu vakafa vari kuda kutaura nesu. Totsvaga nzira yekuti dai ndataurawo naShepherd. Undiona? Saka iwewe usazoita ngozi. Bosi kana wafa unenge uri muchamweya umu, uchiona vana vako vachinongasadza mubhini, vachidzingwa pamba pavairoja pavaigara, vana vako vachigara mustreet nenyaya yekuti you failed to put your ex pana 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶. And the good part is my presidential terms are limited. President Chamisa mukavavhotera vane 5 years. For 5 years he should show us the direction. If he hasn't got a direction, presidential terms have got a limit of 5 years, and we go into another election. If he fails, we can remove him. And no person has succeeded and served as president so far, except ZANU-PF. Ukatarisa president anobatsirwawo na-vice president. Honestly, do you believe in Constantino Chiwenga? He's the appointed vice president of a country to run some different departments of the executive. And he is like the Minister of Health as well. Do you have confidence in his leadership? Because the president we want someone anoziva zvaanoita, who is going to appoint my ambassadors who represent us. Unonzwa ZANU-PF ichichema about sanctions. If you go to America, they've got an ambassador there. Their mantra or rhetoric for sanctions is a tired campaign. You go to America, they've got an embassy. If they've got an issue with the Americans imposing sanctions on them, they've got an ambassador in America. Why can't they send him to go and negotiate with the Americans? We've got an American embassy in our country. Why can't they engage them and find a solution? They'll come to a point where they will agree that if you do this, we will remove sanctions. So when they come to you and talk about sanctions, that shows they are a failure. They have failed. Even Muchangwa said to Mugabe that if you cannot find methods of getting those sanctions removed, step aside and let someone take over governance. Muchangwa said that. We never thought Mnangagwa is coming to cry like a baby, like a squirrel, because of sanctions. We thought he has got a solution to what Mugabe failed to do. So we thought they removed Mugabe because they had the solution. But surprisingly, they are crying more than what Mugabe was doing. They've got no idea, no solution whatsoever to get those sanctions removed. And Muchangwa clearly told ZANU-PF, if you have got no idea of how those sanctions can be removed, step aside and let someone capable take over control of governance. We still stand by Muchangwa's words. This is why we are saying we want a president who can appoint ambassadors, consuls, and public ministers, especially ambassadors who are not scared of engaging their host countries. So those sanctions issues should be discussed by Katsande here and the British government. We want a president who appoint armed forces personnel from the rank of, from any rank to lead. We need professionals in the army anyway. We need professionals. We need generals who guarantee the nation. not who guarantee politicians. No. So we want a president who understands that. When you are appointing the generals, you don't appoint 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶. One of our politicians, atidi mwe politician asina kuenda kuhondo. Aino mdaro yakazotungamira akafa. Nyika iya yakasara ichiondongeka. Nevanhu vaifungidzira kuti vakaenda kuhondo. Nyika yamaoko yevanhu vasina kuenda kuhondo. Vakazouya kuzojoina hondo yakupera. Ndakabvunza mumwe munhu ndikati in 1973 how old was 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 how old was he in 1973? You understand? So nyika yamaoko memapurveya ndo vakutonga nyika. Ndosaka uchiona vachidya nemarhodicians mapurveya. Hamuna mugandanga aripo ari kutonga mwewo. Usara mapurveya magandanga akaipiwa poison akafa akanzi COVID. And more. So we want a general who guarantees safety of the people of Zimbabwe. We don't want a general ano deploy masoja kunda unouraya vana vari kuchema kuti nenzara. And on. Because you guys must understand that this executive office we are vying for on the 23rd of August 2023, it has got certain privileges. The president arikudiwa apa anenge ane ma-privileges ake. We want a president who is capable of negotiating foreign treaties. A president who make appointments not otherwise provided for by the law. We want a president who anodeclare kuti panapa toda development yobva yaitwa. Anoziva how to prepare the national budget. This is why I'm saying the executive is vacant. The president's office is vacant. The current ukataura 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶, talk to 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗁. Can 𝗘𝗹𝗲 assist in the preparation of the national budget? He can't. Mnangagwa, he can't. And when he performs acts of clemency, Mnangagwa is releasing rapists, ZANU-PF rapists, to go register and vote for him. You see, we don't need such type of a president who locks up innocent people and release hardcore criminals into the society so that children are continued raped. Even, I was a prison officer. Kuna anozi ma-recidivist. Matsotsa aya agadzirika aya. Once anakirwa netuvana kuti ma9 years nesitonyeni, anoramba achitsvaga tuvana achitubvarura tuvana tuyatu. How can you release such type of a person? Atongwa 9 years oseva 1 year uvamupa pardon. You see? So we don't need that type of a president to say when you are performing acts of clemency, you release hardcore rapists or criminals into the society and lock up innocent people. We don't want that type of a president. Zimbabwe is a country yekuti kana tikati vachamisa exercise clemency, acts of clemency. Kana vada amnesty, we look into qualifying people for the amnesty. Because when those people were convicted, panofana kuve any proper investigations anoitwa. Poitwa a properly constituted criminal court that will try facts. As we stand, most of those people they're innocent people. People who were just convicted because akuna proper judicial system. Tine captured the judicial system. So when we have got a president, we need to ensure that we have got a responsible judiciary system that when it is convicting people, is convicting real criminals. So that when an act of clemency is being exercised by the president, then we know amnesty would what type of people the president is pardoning. You cannot pardon a rapist who served 1 year out of 9 years, and you pardon him just because you want him to go and vote for you. What type of president is that? At least if he had commuted the sentence, people would understand it. But you cannot give reprieve to say, okay, fine, wakarepa hako buda uende kumba. Akabvunzwa mudhara uyo zvikanzi mudhara chicha makadzidza kujeri kana akangonzi ndakadzidza kuti anzi enda kumba. Repa hako, that's fine, go home. You see, we don't want such a type of a president. No. It's a no. Because when we are talking about this, consider victims of rape. 9-year-old girl being raped by a 50-year-old man like me. Kubata gangara kamwana kana 9 years kachema baba yoforsa kukapinda. Then onda kujero bwanza aenda akokumba. And more. So tina president, you know, Zvat Karamuna elected as president in our country. We don't expect him to take any other employment. But now president Watina M. Zimbabwe, who is engaging in the gold mafia, it's a form of employment. Running a criminal cartel to loot Zimbabwe. A criminal cartel, a cult, to smuggle gold out of the country. Earning extra money. We are paying him as a president. And he's busy with the criminals milking the country further. Then you say vote for ZANU-PF. I don't know those ZANU-PF people who zirimo ere fungwa dzavo kana vachifunga. Could we have got a president who has got another form of employment on top of what we are paying him? He's smuggling gold, stealing, involved in gold mafia, involved in criminal activities. That if he is convicted, he'll go to prison. And more. How can you appoint Owen Muda, a grade 7 dropout, to be Minister of State? That run an intelligence organization. To what I forgot it CIO Munika and more. Saka, we still have a lot to consider when we are going into the election 2023. We need a president. That office has been vacant. The people we were paying a salary to be president and vice president, they've shown mediocrity. They've shown that they are incapable. And these 6 years that they've been at helm exposed them. Apana imbuzi wati Chiwenga idanda idudaro ari mucamouflage ari kuarmy. Apana pata imbuzi wachitaura taura. But now he has got a duty to give feedback to the people of Zimbabwe. He can't give you feedback. So tasvika pekuti tikana takuda president, we consider everything that I've stated here. Once you give him another 5 years, that office can only be vacant through death, can be vacant by permanent disability, can be vacant by his resignation or by impeachment. So we have a problem. Let's sit down and think properly. We need the president to change. We need another president. We need a different political party to run Zimbabwe. But if we don't do that, if we make an error again of allowing him near power, then we have got 5 years of struggling. We have got 5 years of struggling. Because he will be in power, discharging his duties as a president. He will continue kuvura zvimapombi zvezvekunana chivu. Achakondinya kuvaka to bridge tokuti mabhazi haapesani, ma-accidents haaperi, road hadzigadzirwe. So far, for the past 6 years, he has done 200 kilometers from 𝗘𝗲𝗏𝗰𝘁𝗶 road, along 𝗘𝗲𝗏𝗏𝗁 road. For the next 5 years, achaita dzimwe 200 kilometers. But 10 years, anenge aita 400 kilometers. Those are muchiratidzwa development. So that office is vacant. And but we can as well make that office vacant if we want. Kuti munhu aripo is just a stooge. Majority of Zimbabweans, especially the majority of the cabinet, kana vari vanhu vane Zimbabwe at heart, they can impeach and declare him unfit to rule. But I don't foresee this happening in any near future. And anymore. Because what ZANU-PF is fighting, why they are all doing all this intimidation and so forth, they just want to garner 2/3 majority, 2/3 of the vote, so that they continue with the gold mafia without anyone looking into those affairs. And more. Because even if you look at your president, let me not call him my president. If you look at him, the gentleman is sick, is ill. He's ill. He's ill. Look at his state of health. Look at his health. It's not well. And to imagine he's the commander of the defense forces, commander-in-chief of the defense forces. Achirwara pfungwa, achigula zvaro kuita zvazvo. Kune kwatiri kuenda. Historically, that man has never won anything. 2000 dzakazvamburwa ukweko na 𝗘𝗵𝗂𝗰𝗁. 2005 dzakazvamburwa futi na 𝗘𝗵𝗂𝗰𝗁. His life was just being appointed, minister appointed, this appointed, that, without winning anything. 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝗁 has never been in any election. These are people who do not have self-esteem. They lack confidence. They lack this executive personality in them to lead that executive branch. So we need another president. We are going into an election 2023. In that election, Zimbabweans must be able to choose a president of their choice. So as voters, please make sure on that day, on the 23rd of August, you have got your card, your identity card. Let's make it compulsory. Kuti pawasangana nemunhu zuva iroro mubvunze ushamwari aunokanganwa chitupa here. Let's make it a way to show that that is a proof of your proof of identity that can allow you to go and vote. It's either you've got your driver's license, you've got your passport, or you've got your ID card. Make sure those documents are available on the day. Because we can't afford to lose. We can't afford to waste time by voting ZANU-PF again. Because what we have seen now, we were not able to campaign. In every election, by now, we have 6 months or 1 year, to campaign. But we were never allowed to campaign in our country. Election campaigns are very important. But they take some weeks before the election date is announced, so that it makes us prepare and sell our policies to the people. And it is, how are you? So during that period, we will be introducing our candidates to the people, so the candidates can have contact with their voters. Voters would know who is their candidate. That's the purpose of election campaign. We have never been allowed to do that. Our political leaders have never been given access to the people. They've never addressed meetings, which they are supposed to be doing. They've never addressed or mobilized their supporters. Until now, most 𝗘𝗵𝗁𝗰𝗁 supporters do not know who they are going to vote. They just know that there is a 𝗘𝗵𝗁 political party. They don't know their candidates. Because the candidates have never been given chance to meet their people. All their rallies were cancelled by the police. We've got just a month to go. It is going to be difficult for us to try and cover ground so that people would know which their candidate is. So let's, from now onwards, let's try to focus on public attention. What Zimbabweans want to know. So let's try to focus on that. With this short time we have, we are not allowed to meet the people. We are not allowed to address rallies. But let's utilize the social media. Let's reach as many people as we can. Let's share my presentations akaita seanaya. Bozi munhu anogona kuwana presentation yangu by accident. Ototeerera, you learn something. And the big issue which is there is to reach everyone. Can you close that, please? The big issue here is to reach everyone. I'm coming to feed you. I know you are hungry. I'm coming to feed you. What do you want there if you are not hungry?
Nothing.
I'm coming to give you food. I want you to build muscle. Yeah, I'm coming.
But what does the cook start?
Yeah, I'm coming. Close my door. Sorry, guys. This boy is... Close my door. That boy, something else. So what we want to do is we want to make some presentation that can attract the public, that can attract them to try and listen, to understand which political party they are going to vote. Because obvious is 𝗘𝗵𝗂𝗰𝗁. MDC is dead. ZANU-PF is dead. Mugabe died with ZANU-PF. Tsvangirai died with MDC. So the only political party, viable political opposite party, is the 𝗘𝗵𝗂𝗰 political party, led by none other than Advocate Nelson Chamisa. Because we are glad that 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 has become a successful slogan that has given a political identity to 𝗘𝗵𝗂𝗰. If we go into this election, munhu wese anenge achikorazana ngaapinde hake. A lot of people were crying about structures. Structures do not bring development. Structures do not bring prosperity. Although we have structures, ZANU-PF was trying to look into these structures and see who does what, so that it can infiltrate you. I'm so disappointed with what is happening in 𝗘𝗏𝗏. I didn't want to talk about what is happening in 𝗘𝗏𝗏 right now. I did not want to talk about it, but I will go to talk about it. Because I'm disappointed that people have chosen a different candidate, a candidate. And someone is coming to impose a candidate to the people. Vanhu veTRIPLE-C ndikutotaura chokwadi panapa. Vanhu vekuRungwe vari kuita bhora musango. We were going to win that constituency. It's an urban constituency, very safe constituency for us. But zvaakuitika zvandanzwa mamessages abva kuRungwe, I'm not happy. Kuti someone ari kuuya kuzoimpozwa neleadership. Kuti aiwa ndiye ari kudiwa nevanhu. Vanhu munhu wavari kuda havasi kuda munhu ari kudiwa nevanhu. Vari kuda munhu wavo because someone has been paid something. I'm so disappointed. I'm so disappointed. If we don't rectify what is happening in 𝗘𝗏𝗏 right now, we are going to lose a constituency atakatobata. Because vanhu vari muarea vanoziva munhu wavo. Shepherd Yuda nosora ndiri truck driver ndichikodriver ndichienda kwandichienda ndichidzoka. I don't live with people. Vanhu vanoziva munhu wavanoda. Let's let the citizens choose their leadership, please. Ndasari kuitaura nyaya but yandibata. Andimona. Yandibata. Because takuona chizanu chachi. I know that some of our politicians were 𝗘𝗵𝗂𝗰. We came from MDC now. Vanhu vatakashanda tese tikuna na MDC tikabva tikasiyana nezve MDC tikauya kuTRIPLE-C. Vamwe vedu variko ikoko. They've been in ZANU-PF. Vanoziva politics of bribe and the politics of threats. This is not the time. We are at a crucial moment where we don't want 𝗘𝗶𝗁 or citizens being threatened because you have been bribed. Tichafumurana, tichanetsana nenyaya iyoyo. Because we can't afford to lose the constituency atakabata. We can't afford that. So I'm appealing to whoever arikundinzwa panapa arikuziva kuti ndiye akabribwa, because ndatopiwa names, ndatopiwa nyaya dzacho. Ndikatotaura vanhu kuti no, I'm not going to talk about this, but I will just give it as a warning. Kuti constituency yeurungwe central yayo kana kuti urungwe yeukarwe takatotora constituency that belongs to 𝗘𝗶𝗁, but because of certain individuals varoda kuti vanhu varamwe vachisa candidate yavanoda ivo, takanzi napresident chamisa hakuna leadership inofanira interfere with the grassroots kana yakuchuza leader wayo. Regai vanhu vachuze munhu wavanoda, but ukazouyawo kuti hey, ndiri kubva kunational hey, zvazodii, tichaburana. Because tikaruza constituency iyoyo chete tichafumurana panapa, because we can't afford 5 more years with the ZANU-PF. No. Andimona. So don't reject my candidates and one. Because to problem ye politics zemari chizanu chachi chikuti munhu anobribwa obva atambira ka $2,000 for ka $2,000 at the expense of the election result, at the expense of a victory. What we need is victory. 2,000 is nothing. We need victory. And it more. Saka, I understand that we have got our code of conduct, the way we select our party candidates. It has been clear, but pane vanhu vakuda kushandisa kusvibisa mukana iwo watakapuwa na president Chamisa. You will never get a president like Chamisa who will tell you to go and choose your own candidates. ZANU-PF hakuna izvozvo, kuno impose kwa candidates. Vakaona kuti candidate yavo yavakaimposa yaramba yadyiwa, vanota rerun asingaperi kusvika munhu yawina. You understand? That is not our politics in 𝗘𝗶𝗁. We are citizens of a country. Kana vatu vanoda shepherd Judah, let them field shepherd Judah. Vakadyiwa nashepherd Judah wavo, macitizens ndo vanonge vadyiwa. Kuti candidate ikadyiwa nonzi candidate yanhingi kai. Zvamakaona zvakaitika kudomboshawa. Kuti vanhu vekudomboshawa vaida luku tambolinyoka. Monzora na 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 vakusa munhu wavo vanoda ikoko, because they were bribed. Vakauraya constituency yakaenda naMutodi constituency yatanga takabata. If you add my votes, panoona kuti kune varoyi vakaita sana Monzora, kune varoyi vakaita sana 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶. We don't need such type of people. And on. Saka tiri kutaura kuti varume patasvika paoma. The date has been fixed for elections. The candidates, we have got our candidates. By now, people should be knowing who are we going to vote. Takushitanga campaign. Because atina mukana wokuunganidza vanhu. Atina mukana wokubuda pa television. We have got one television channel in Zimbabwe. You will never see an opposition, a member of parliament, or president being addressed. Ukaona Chamisa achibuda anenge achipakwa mashoko na journalists weZANU andimona. Saka rule out the television channels campaigns. Let's engage on social media. Rule out the radio. The newspaper tane kedu ka bulletin karipo kari kumbotaura nezvedu. But the social media is the most powerful source of information now, because we can channel in whatever we want to the people to hear. We can go live on Facebook. I'm live right now. People are listening to me. And so let's utilize this, because there is an unfair play in this election where you see you are not, 𝗘𝗶𝗁 is not allowed in the Herald. It's not allowed on television. It's not allowed even air space on radio and more. Most reports that are being done, anenge ari ma-accusations, name calling, exclusion of genuine campaigns 𝗘𝗶𝗃. They don't see, Herald doesn't see anything good about 𝗘𝗶𝗃. ZBC, ZTV, they don't see anything good about 𝗘𝗶𝗃. That is the misuse of those media channels by the government. Because those facilities are financed by public funds, and the people have got right to see Chamisa on television, but you will never see him. And one. Saka tiri kutaura kuti patasvika paakuda iwewe neni kuti akuenda kuelection now. The date has been set. It's all up to you and me to say enough is enough. 43 years of suffering must stop. This must cease. ZANU-PF must go. And more. Saka chaakudiwa is participation in this election. We must have a high voter turnout in 2023. Because turnout, it indicates the percentage or the percent of eligible voters who actually cast their vote. So, over the last 43 years, if you look at how many people have been voting, there is a trend in ZANU-PF. Could my voters nationally, they must not exceed such type of a number so that they can manipulate and rig. Some people are being told, as ZBC in my showers, yeah, for 43 years of independence, one TV channel, oh, my showers, you can't see properly. And more. When voters are abused, poor voters are told to pretend as if they are illiterate over ones who are not assisted voting. Underprivileged people are not assisted voting. Imi, pakaitwa yainzi 𝗘𝗶𝗃𝗁𝗃 yakasainiswa 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶. 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 akati handigone kunyora, zvikanzi isa X mudhara. Munhu asingagone kunyora haatadze kunyora X. 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 anga asikagoni. Yainzi the 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶 here yai yakasainwa naMudhara-𝗘𝗵𝗰𝗁. Haakati haagone kunyora asi akanzisa X. Saka kana uri illiterate usingagone kunyora unoisa X. Ndiye X watiri kunoisa. Hausi kunonyora zita rako. Hapana chirungu, hauna composition yauri kunyora paballot paper. Uri kunoisa X chete. Even an illiterate person can put an X. A poor person can put an X. An underprivileged person can put an X. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated. You have to tell out how my doctors, my teachers, and the Saka, that must cease. Because this election is very important. Very important. Because if you fail to exercise your right to vote, then matters that concern you, you must never complain. Kutafane nzara, hey, nyika zeta say, you wakavotera zana. You must never complain. Because you have chosen a path that you want to run the country. No matter that path destroyed you, the country. Then if you choose them, then you are a problem. ZANU-PF is not a problem. The problem is you who choose ZANU-PF. And the Murgon. Saka, ladies and gentlemen, we want an acceptable result, election result. For the result to come out acceptable, I've spoken about why elections must be a democratic election, why this electoral politics must work for the country. If you look at the ruling party, especially ZANU-PF, this party has been losing elections ever since. Every 5 years we hold elections, ZANU-PF has been losing, but they survive on rigging. So the sitting president is not the representative elected by the people. This one, Munaga riga election. He lost that election. A lot of ZANU-PF candidates lost elections, but the ZEC gave them leeway to go into parliament. Example, Dex Nduna. He lost that Chegutu constituency. But because Muna idea rigging ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF barred the winner to enter to enter parliament. Anyway, it was a blessing in disguise as well. Because Munanga wina constituency ya Nduna. Idashka. Dashi chero chero. Akazoenda kwa Munzura. Unoshamsika kuti gift konjani wapindwa nei. Akapindwa nei blazi yao. Andona. Akutuka Chamisa. Chamisa kazodi. Chamisa kazodi say. Honestly, when President Chamisa assumed the leadership of MDC, apana asina kuzviona. I have stated this time and again. Kuti MDC mudhara tsvangirai vaiziva zvavakaita paya. Kuti oraiti I need 3 vice presidents. Paive na Kupe, paive na Chamisa, paive na Mdzuri. Mudhara paakarwara ari South Africa. Kupe was in South Africa. Mdzuri was in South Africa. We were left with Nelson Chamisa, who automatically assumed the role of president. Saka zvekuti Chamisa akatora who president of MDC legally, that was a lie. Because no one has got an acting capacity whilst you are outside the country. I've stated this time and again. So anyway, that is water under the bridge. But what we are looking for on the 23rd of August is a free and fair election that will usher a new government. And on. We don't want a situation where people will be elected on the basis of bribes to attain power. That is what we don't want. The overall verdict of this election, or the final result, must be Chamisa won the presidency. And I am 100% sure, I assure you, that Chamisa will romp to victory this election. Because we are facing challenges that has already made the election or electoral process questionable. A lot of people has been disenfranchised. People have been removed from voters' roll. That means if we had let our candidates known to ZANU-PF in time, all of them were going to be removed from voters' roll. So we know what the ZANU-PF wants to do. Let's vote to change Zimbabwe. Let's vote 𝗘𝗶𝗁𝗰𝘁. Let's vote Nelson Chamisa. Let's vote 𝗘𝗶𝗁𝗰𝗁 candidates for a better Zimbabwe. I'm 100% sure true Chamisa will win. Definitely at it is. Chamisa is going to romp to victory. This is a year of change. Your vote counts. Vote for better Zimbabwe. Vote for change. Vote 𝗘𝗶𝗁𝗰𝗁. Vote Nelson Chamisa. Simple. This is my clear message to the people of Zimbabwe. That if you want a good life, that mantra of sanctions will go. That is suffering will go. Your hospitals will have medication. Your roads will be developed. Your towns, Mararaja Takuru. Because right now you've got a saboteur as president who said he's not going to allow MDC or 𝗘𝗶𝗁𝗰𝗁 council kutakura marara munyika. Kuti azoona chekukambenesa nacho achifamba achitaura rode marara asi kutakura. Iye ari ndiye head of state. When you are head of state, you are head of the cabinet. Cabinet yako uchaappointa minister of local government. Vana July Mondo vanenge vachihedha ma-councils. Council yakatadza kutakura marara. Who's to blame? Chamisa akatowina kare. Thank you. Thank you, Atederenga. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been here for almost 2 hours and some minutes. So let me call it quits. Nasi ndiri kuzwa zvakanaka ndofunga muri kuona kana kavhevheka acho matauro acho andiri kuita kuti andechidhirihora. Dhirihora iro vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora rembanje nogara mudhiriho, dhirihora iro vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora rembanje nogara mudhiriho, vakomana vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora rembanje nogara mudhiriho, musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora vakomana dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhiriho, vakomana vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhiriho, musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhiriho, dhirihora vakoma. A quick rundown, a quick overview of zvinhu zvatachitaura panapa. Ndataura ini ndichiti vati mubate kutaura kwangu. You need to vote for a better Zimbabwe. You need to vote for change. You need to vote for President Nelson Chamisa. You need to vote for 𝗘𝗹𝗲𝗰𝘁𝗶. That is my message to you, Zimbabweans. On the 23rd of August, I expect every Zimbabwean, whether you are ZANU-PF, you are a citizen of a country, you need good life, you need change. Because if we don't get executive branch of the government, then atina zvatinenge taita. Murukunzo. Because it is the power to enforce, it has got the power to enforce and administer laws in our country. The executive power is vested in the president. So we need to win the president. And we all know, we all understand here. President Chamisa is the qualified candidate. He's a natural born citizen of Zimbabwe. He's a registered voter in that country. He's an advocate. That means he can read and write. He can understand your problems. He is 40 years plus of age. That makes him qualified to be a president. And he's a resident in that country. And Dimon. Asiyana nemama president ataiziva kuti aita akangovhoterwa nhasi mangwana amudege ado resident in Singapore. And so we need that office. The term of office is 5 years. For 5 years munenge mageja zvandiri kutaura. Munenge mageja kuti mudhara akatora oath of office anonzi Chamisa uyu akaita oath of office kuti achaseva nyika yeZimbabwe achitedzera mutemo, the supreme law that has been breached by Mnangagwa, that has been breached by Chiwenga. To someone, and what I do swear that I will faithfully and consciously fulfill the duties of President of Zimbabwe, preserve and defend its constitution, execute its laws, do justice to every man in Zimbabwe. Ndiye munhu watinoda kutsvaga iyoyo anozopedzisira achisimudza ruoko achi so help me God. Kana achinge atora oath Chamisa azvisungirira pa constitution of the country, akangotsveya matoti iwe mudhara iwewe iye zvinezvi Mnangagwa ari kugara akatsveyama pa constitution, kangoti iwewe banga muhuro, kangoti iwewe pfuti musoro, kangoti iwewe acid wanyangadika. Saka we have got a qualified young president, a vibrant young president, who is eligible to be voted into office, none other than President Chamisa. Let's allow him to serve his first term from August, then extend his term if we are happy. I'm 100% confident that by the end of his first term as president, you all be happy. Muchazoita says he's the man of God, Honorable Chamsa. Thank you so much. Tichazopesera takuita sezvita mazambians. Ukuti naiwe HH wanga uripi. But they were there. They were attacking him. Achivharirwa road achikuzwa achidefenda achivharirwa achindokuwa kujera achitwa sei. Now they are realizing that had we put HH as president long time ago, Zambia will be a heaven. Because Zambia now is a heaven on earth for the Zambians people. They've seen total change. Change of party, ruling party, change of governance, and the change of life. Ukaenda kuZambia unonakirwa neupenyu. Although akushayikwe maromba anenge achida kushora, but compared to the previous government, ukada kutarisa kuZambia, my salaries are stable. People have realized stable salary increment. Ukatarisa kuti people are holding office on vakunakirwa nebasa ravo. Professionals are in the office, business is running. My financial interests in Nika are being saved. Financial interests of the people of Zambians are being saved. My business on Manya now, and my interests on Mari Zambia. Even my spouse, my kids, my father, because HH has come into power, has given Zambians borrowing powers, has given Zambians diplomatic powers. Akagadzira a budgetary system in Zambia, cover the crucial or the most key issues affecting Zambians. And he is always on Facebook informing Zambians of whatever he's doing, the developments he's making. And on. He has even pardoned his attackers, those people who used to use the military powers to incarcerate him. Yes, he has pardoned them. He has told the world that even if I saw Lunga being victimized, I will be the first person to jump and save him. Because I have pardoned him. Ukadautarisa moyo na HH unobvaona moyo na Chamisa in future. So we want a president who will control the executive departments. Anoziva zvaanoita. And more. Because watina they don't know about the constitution. One my powers of appointment, when I was appointed one nezveukama. Ukatarisa government yacho yese ndiye Midlands. Atikuda devolution munyika. And more. Saka tiri kutaura tichiti varume takuda vachamisa vauye. Vachamisa kana mauya tikuda kutaura zvema-agrarian reform in your first 5 years. Talk about agriculture. Want to go back into the bread basket of Africa again. We want a working education system. We want improvement in energy. At Suda load shedding in Zimbabwe. But Vachamisa is going to look into it. Nzou dzedu dzakatengeswa dzakaenda kuDubai. Dubai yakacreata Africa ikoko. Vatoine natural resources dzatisina isusu kuDubai. Saka we want a president anoona our natural resources and our environment as key economic issues of our country. We need a finance minister anoziva immediate needs evanhu vemuZimbabwe. Kwete finance minister arikuona kuti vanhu vemuZimbabwe vari kutambura nenhamo obva auya sa 2% pamusoro. Nga urumwa futi utorerwa futi 2 cents per dollar. And the rand is working South Africa, not Zimbabwe. We want our own currency. Exactly. We want our own currency. You go to Zambia, no matter how inflation hit Zambia, they've never abandoned their kwacha. You go to Malawi, they've never abandoned their kwacha. You go to Mozambique, they still use their metcash. Why Zimbabwe? You go to South Africa, they've got their rand. We want our finance minister who knows that Zimbabwe belongs to Zimbabweans. The currency of Zimbabwe must buy Zimbabwe products. If you go to bureau de change in Zambia, you should be able to access your Zimbabwe currency. Ukaenda ikoko hanzi hatina pekuchengetera mabond paper, saka they can't give you Zimbabwe currency, they give you US dollar. We want a foreign affairs minister who addresses the real issues. We are struggling about diaspora vote because we don't have a working foreign affairs minister. And our health system has collapsed. The justice system has collapsed. This is where you see justice minister achigara pasi compile list of rapists for release. That means the justice system has collapsed. Labor and employment in our country does not work because there is no employment. Saka ukasa minister of labor anoshanda chi kana kusina mabasa. Our national defense is a disgrace. Inenge ichida proper professional people to run that national defense, national intelligence, public works and highways, nzira dzigadzirwe, and science and technology. Kuchi vafana vachipuwa grants vachienda kuuniversity vachidzoka vari so innovative muchivaemploya nyika ichisimuka ichienda mberi. Now if you go to Zimbabwe kana zvimabridge zvinovakwa unobvunza kuti nyika ine maengineers here. Social welfare is destroyed. Chembere dziri kutambura hadzina chekudya, hadzina pekugara. Izvozvi zvichembere zvamuri kuona zvekuvhotera ZANU-PF izvozvi manje zvinenge zvakugwesha hazvichakwanisi, zvoda kudya zvopuwa kudya nani. Vanhu vezanu vanouya ne5 kg yembeu kana towards elections. So we need President Chamisa to look into all that. Trade and industry, very important for the country. Transportation and communications. He was a communications minister sometimes. He knows what we are talking about. Tourism. We look at tourism. Tourism, environment and natural resources. Education. Higher education. Colleges anofana kuvakwa munyika. By now muZimbabwe ngada uchituka swika muKaroi mune Hurungwe college, ukaenda muChinoi mune Makonde college, ukaenda kuKadoma kune college, ukaenda kwaifana kuita every town in a college. Kana tikashaya kuita universities in every town, but colleges should be able to issue degrees dzaunoverenga uri kuChinoi university. College yekuHurungwe must issue degrees yekuChinoi university. Fine, fair and fine. Higher education. And in more. Economic development chaiyo yenyika tinofanira kuve zvichishanda. So Zimbabweans tine masimba. We've got power to remove and the power to elect. So on the 23rd of August, let's use the powers that we have. Let's use the control that we have to alter our lives, to change and modify our lives. Let's nullify ZANU-PF victory. Kana wakafika one victory, let's set it aside. Let's make sure President Chamisa is elected. Because if you elect your own president, you will be able to supervise him. But so far, you can't supervise Mnangagwa. He is your boss, not a servant. We want a servant, we don't want a boss. We don't want kutongwa atina mhosva yatakapara, toda kutungamirira. Andimona. Saka tekuda commander in chief anotungamirira mauto. Kuti commander in chief anoudza mauto nemunoponda vana kana vachinge vachema nenzara. Andimurwana. Zvese izvozvo zvinofanirwa kuita kuti even military powers they must be under control ya president. Chatoziva kuti mapresident ukazona president wosaina kuti ndakudeploya army declare war. Saka how can you declare war with innocent people? People of Zimbabwe. Vanhu vemuZimbabwe havadi kupfurwa, vanoda kupiwa chikafu. Ukanza vachema vana mabasa, create environment where they will get jobs. Saka those are the things that we discussed on this presentation. And on. Tikataura zvana minister zvitaura, zvana communication zvitaura. Tikataura zvakawanda zvekuti zvimwe zvacho tikada kuzvidzokerera toita dzimwe 2 hours tichiita izvozvo. But akutaura chiti, let's have Chamisa as president come August 2023 Chamisa will be in power. Saka for that, let me say good night, ladies and gentlemen. Muve usiku wakanaka ndakuda kunokushta. I'm feeling much better. Panatete vamboti andishare ndashandisa iyai amusora umiri ndakatotipwawo nezuro. Saka remedy iyo ndokupaiwo mubva maita sei maenda kunotenga. Ameno vari kuAfrica vanogona kuishaya, but vari muna UK isenmwa. Good night. Chagona utsonya here ndaugona. Good. So good night. Zvinorwadza kusiya vanhu 25 vaida kuteerera, but good night wakomana. Tisangana mangwana naye. Good night.